Module 4, Final Project. My name is Karen Drake for Fort Hays State University, Dr. Zalika. It's due on March 9th, 2022. This module was over the science of reading, and there has been a lot of studies on the science of reading because we seem to think that reading comes naturally to most students. But however, with scientific data and studies, we have found that it does not come naturally. Language, talking comes naturally. It takes a lot of time to learn how to read. There are 5 elements to learning how to, or 5 components to learning to read. There's phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. The reason that these are important is because they go hand in hand. You've got to know your sounds, how to put words together, learn how to read fluently, which is pace, expression, many different things. And then you've got to be able to define words and know what they mean, to also comprehend what you've read. Because if you don't know what a word means, you're not going to understand what it means or what your reading tells you. And if a student is missing one of the elements, then they are not going to be able to read fluently or know what certain words are. They're going to have to pause for their phonics, and then they're not going to get the comprehension skills that they are required, that are needed to read and comprehend, to grasp what is being read. There are 5 reading instructional elements, which I've already talked about a little bit. There's phonemic awareness. It's the ability to focus on and manipulate the phonemes. That means that the student needs to know their letters, uppercase and lowercase, and that what sounds go with which letters. Some students have trouble with identifying certain letters and certain sounds. Like, let's say they know the letter W, but they put the letter or the sound of an H with it. When they're trying to sound out words, that doesn't work. There are a few things that we can help teach students phonemic awareness. There's the letter name instructions, so that way they just learn how to identify letters and their sounds. You go over those until they master them. Then you can also use the I Spy. That's where you put up a print and they can play the game I Spy. You ask them to write down as many M's as they can find on that sheet that they are looking at on the overhead. And then they've got to learn how to write their letters. So that way they know that the letters go with their certain sounds. Anyway, and with that one, they try to beat the clock. And then someone calls out the letters for them. Next, phonics is a teaching method that is related to spoken and written symbols in a somatic and predictable way. And it also helps to decode words in print. Then there's different types of blending sounds, or to blend the sounds. There's sequential blending, which breaks apart single syllable words and then they put them back together with decoding. And that just is knowing that certain letters go with certain sounds. And then there's hieroglyphical blending, and it's dividing whole words between vowels or between syllables to make the word. So they'd sound out the first part of the word, first syllable, second syllable, if there was a third or fourth, and they just keep going from there, and then they put the words back together. Fluency is the accuracy and effortlessness of automatic word recognition. They just know the word automatically as soon as they see it in print. Then that way they can just continue to read without being choppy or having to stop and sound out words. And this to help in the classroom instructional training for this one, be model reading. Teacher may slow down the reading aloud, kind of start sounding a little choppy, like they're not sure what a word is. Students need to hear these things so that they know what is being said to them and what is wrong with reading. There's reading practice. Students need to sit down and just read what is appropriately right for their where their skill set is at that time. They also need to have the guidance and monitoring and feedback. That just doesn't mean hand a student a book and say, here, read this. But that means you need to go over and have them read to you and make sure that that book is appropriate for their reading level. And that's the feedback. And make sure that they are understanding and comprehending the book that they are reading. They need to have students need to have access to a challenging reading material. So that way they can figure out different words and in text, and they get used to reading those words. They also need feedback from a teacher as well on that. Vocabulary is the meanings or definitions of words. Students need to be taught different meanings of words before reading lessons. If they've got vocabulary in them, they need to be told what they are. For ELs, watching TV with closed captioning on, the sound off, so then they learn how to read the vocabulary, learn new words for developing vocabulary. And then the best way to learn vocabulary is just by talking to students. It builds a large amount of words. The more words a student knows, the more indication the better reader they're going to be. Comprehension is retaining what one has read. They need to have text with purpose for reading. The environment that they're reading in is appropriate. It's hard to read and comprehend when the room is loud, the TV's on, people are yelling and screaming and running throughout the room. Those things cause people not to be able to grasp what they're reading. They're reading the same thing over and over again. To figure out if a student has comprehended what they are reading, you need to question the reader. Is a good way to find that out. Ask questions about the book, have them retell the story. Then there's the 4-part comprehension. It uses the reader, the text, and an activity to see if the reader has retained the information. And then you've got text structures. That's peer with peer reading or group reading. Have someone read a little bit and someone else read a little bit more, and have them ask questions of each other about the text that they are reading. The thing with text structure and pairs of peers is you want to have students that are basically about the same reading level, so that they are understanding what it is. You don't want to have a great reader with a very low reader. The thing, because of one's going to become frustrated. Then we've got the 5-block reading and writing essential model. They go hand in hand with each other. It is a framework to help with a routine. Students need to have a routine. Human nature is we just need to have a routine. If something gets out of routine, it becomes problematic at that point. In the 5-block reading and writing instructions for grades 1 through 3, that's 180 minutes of instruction time for reading and writing. And half-day kindergarten, it's 90 minutes. the reason that this is important for the science of reading is it gives 30 minutes of writing fluency and comprehension, 30 minutes each, not just all in 30 minutes. As 30 minutes of writing, 30 minutes of fluency, 30 minutes of comprehension and word work, and then 60 minutes of small group or whole instructional time. This gives the students a time to work together, work independently, and build on what they have missed in different areas, and it helps them to become better readers. Thank you. Have a great day.